I think that sounds great.
Okay, well, welcome everybody. My name is Jennifer Reed. I'm the Vice President of Public Relations at Sound Credit Union, and I'm joined with my counterpart from the University of Washington, Michael Turek, to bring you our first series, speaker presentation series for the University of Washington FinTech Pitch. We are excited. This is our 4th year of hosting the FinTech Pitch. Many of you may have saw us out on campus last week. Michael and I did our University of Washington tour, and we went out and met several students and professors out at the University of Washington and talked about what the FinTech Pitch is. We are excited to connect with innovators and entrepreneurs from the University of Washington to find the next big idea and find natural technology that's truly going to benefit consumers and business owners in managing their finances every day to make things much more efficient for them.
Yeah, this is if I could chime in a little bit about the competition. This is phase 1 of ultimately a 2-phase total competition, which is open to UW students across all 3 campuses, in which, as Jennifer had said, we're looking for the next big idea for a piece of financial technology to help people better manage their finances or to engage in financial decision-making with greater confidence. Applications are submitted through our website, which I'll put the link in the chat here. You submit your idea on a lean canvas, business canvas template as part of a Google form. And we select 3 finalists to present their idea to a group of executives at Sound Credit Union, community leaders, and potential investors. And the winner receives a $2,500 cash prize for their idea. All right.
And this is the first part of our series. So we'll talk about the other 2, but just so everybody knows, this is phase 1 or speaker 1, and then we'll have 2 more later this month where you'll have the opportunity to learn more about how to give a pitch to executives, and at the same time, listening to a venture capitalist who's going to speak about what he's looking for when speaking to entrepreneurs and the possibilities of joining forces with them. So it'll be a great opportunity. And please know, everybody, if your phone hasn't been muted, or your microphone will mute all of your phones, and cameras have been turned off, but this is being recorded. So if you have to leave to go to class or anything like that, that's totally fine. We will send out an email later to allow you the opportunity to listen to what Hari has to say.
Yes, and we'll also have an opportunity for questions at the end. So we'll have a time designated at the end for you to put questions in the chat, and we can, Tariq would be happy to answer your questions. So just real quick, if I could now, without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to our speaker. We have Hari Prasad Josiola. He's a seasoned fintech product transformation expert with progressive experience in the banking and financial services industry, including critical roles in various Fortune 100 banking and financial service companies. Currently, he is serving as the senior product owner, spearheading product development, data intelligence platforms, Gen AI, and several mission critical applications. So Hari, we're very happy to have you. And I would also like to thank the International Society of Service Innovation Professionals, ISIP.org, for connecting and introducing us to Hari. So Hari, I will go ahead and turn it over to you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, Professor Michael. Thanks for the intro. And thanks, Jennifer, for having me on this forum today, and all the participants today. So like we just mentioned, right, if you have any questions, I definitely welcome any questions, right? Because that's what makes us human beings, not machines, right? We are human beings with curiosity. So please do have your questions. In the interest of time and to be respectful of everyone's time, so let me present, and then if you can put your questions in the chat or maybe wait until the end, right? That way we can answer all of them at one go. Right? That way we can have the time religiously. Okay. All right. Let me share my screen and can present. Okay. All right. Okay, so I'm presenting the slides in full screen mode, so I cannot really see the Zoom meeting in front of me. So one of you can give me an audible response that you're okay with seeing my slides. I can start presenting.
We can see.
Okay, wonderful. All right, so here we go, everyone. So this is a presentation I created, to talk about three important topics that are shaping the digital transformation or the fintech revolution, if you will, um, combining with the industry 5.0. Right, we'll see more details, and I'm Hari Prasad Josula, the presenter. So all right. So before we talk about and delve into the details, I want to start off giving you something to think about, right? Food for thought. So I'm sure in your day-to-day life, you must be doing, some kind of investment, right? And are applying for a loan, right? And interacting with several of your financial applications, right? Either in the bank or in a financial institution for your investment, for your loans, and so on and so forth. Um, these services are, are all over the place, right? If you talk to your parents and grandparents, they will tell you they visit a traditional brick and mortar, facility where, they interact with the financial institution, right? So just imagine the time frame, right? And imagine it getting a product or a service within minutes, right? Not days or weeks, right? What happens then? And you all see and maybe have a self-driving car, right? How about a self-driving bank, right? So just imagine these, right, as we go into further details in my presentation, right? Just have this in back of your mind, right? So this is what we are talking about, the latest advancements in fintech. Okay, sorry, is there a question or something?
No, I think somebody wasn't muted.
Okay, all right. Okay, so this is the agenda or the topics that I would like to cover in today's presentation. So we'll talk about the evolution of the financial technologies, right? Or in short, fintech. Um, and then we'll also talk about artificial intelligence, okay? And then some of the applications of artificial intelligence in fintech, okay, and various challenges, the considerations that go in, and what are the future, um, you know, what's the future look like for the fintech? Obviously, right? I don't have a crystal ball, so these are just our predictions of how the future will look like, and then we'll touch upon the fifth industrial revolution. So um, again, right? Each one of these topics are so vast and huge; they deserve better discussion, and I don't think time boxing these into a short period of time doesn't make enough justice to these topics, but I'll try my best to give you some details from my perspective, right, as a practitioner in this field. Okay, and then if you have any questions or comments or if anything related to these topics, right, we can definitely discuss. All right. So the first topic, right? Obviously, we are talking about fintech, right? We want to talk about how the fintech has evolved over years. So our parents and grandparents, they have experienced, right, interacting with these financial institutions, um, and And then at the time, it was primarily customer driven and service driven, right? With process orientation, where they are, not scaled, right, to cater to the evolving needs of the customer, right? Um, but at the same time, the fintech wasn't really existent at the time, I would say. But still, right, there were products like credit cards and ATM machines and point of sale terminals, right, that existed, which I would say are the foundation or stepping stones for the further evolution of fintech. And then fast forward into 1990s and early 2000s, right, that is when internet revolution came in, that led to the online banking services, right? So when that came in, that was the initial, or I would say the very fundamental disruptor for financial technologies. As soon as we have an online banking service, right, in addition to having an in-person service where you can walk into a bank, now you have online banking service where the bank is open 24/7, right? You don't really need to talk to a person to check your balance or make a transfer between your accounts or make a payment, right? So online banking services started the actual disruption. And then unfortunately, right, the financial crisis of 2008 came in. That led to the actual disruption, right? The trust that people had in various financial services, the regulatories and all of that, right, that got impacted, and that led to a lot of startups, right? So these startups created, you know apps and applications, right, on top of the existing infrastructure. And imagine, right, PayPal, right? We all know PayPal from years, right? So PayPal started the, outside of banking service, how we can move money, right? So I would say PayPal is one of the disruptors in fintech, in the fintech space. And then the internet connectivity, the mobile devices, the various data analytics, right, paved our way into our latest fintech that we are all experiencing. And then um, in the last, I would say, about 5 years or so, the artificial intelligence, the buzzword, right? Everyone talks about AI nowadays. If you are not talking about AI, then right, you feel like you are the odd man out, right? You got to talk about AI in every walk of your life. And I don't know if you watched Google CEO speech in one of the product launches. Apparently, he used AI 80 times, right, in his speech. So that's the power of AI. And so this is getting integrated into pretty much everything in our life, right? Our cars, our fintech, our healthcare, pretty much what we do in our day-to-day lives, right? So this particular technology of artificial intelligence, right, so can be good and bad, right? It can automate a lot of things. It can do a lot of predictive analytics, detect fraud, um, and then a lot of customer experiences, right? So that's the evolution of you know our fintech services along with the modern and innovative technologies. Okay, so the next up, I would like to present with you a model. Okay, so this is one of the I would say the pictorial or a graphical representation of a intelligent or an autonomous bank. Okay, um, I was mentioning, right, in my initial slides, a self-driving bank. Okay, so here you can see, right, in the form of a house, right, where um, the foundation of an autonomous or an intelligent and autonomous bank, right, primarily lies in the enterprise-wide artificial intelligence and generative AI capabilities. Now, um, not every bank and every financial institution can go full blown implementation of, the latest and innovative technologies, so that they can scale their products, their channels, right? Banking channels, and and also personalize customer journeys at scale, right? What goes in to create this kind of an autonomous bank, right? So as you can see from the picture, right, you need a robust cloud environment, right? So more a lot of financial institutions and banks, right, they are still have their data, their infrastructure on-prem, right? Not every financial institution have migrated into the cloud. Again, right, their data exists in form of silos, right? Some of the smaller to medium scale organizations still have their own homegrown legacy databases where their data exists, right? Utilize an Excel or some other spreadsheet or some, to use manipulate their data. They may not have extensive ERP platforms, right, to manage their data. um, Along with that, right, they may not have even adopted artificial intelligence or any of the latest technologies, right? If an organization, right, have the resources and capabilities to do all of that, right, then the future of banking and financial services will potentially look like this, right, where it can be completely autonomous and very intelligent, that the pretty much, right, you say for example you have a checking account, and then the the banking product knows that there is a bill coming up for you, say in a couple of weeks, and you are short on funds, right? You don't have to manually log into your bank and do a transfer between accounts, right? From your savings to the checking account, because of the predictive analytics and the artificial intelligence capabilities. The personalized banking product that you have can transfer funds from your savings into checking, right? And it will be able to reduce or eliminate an overdraft situation, right? That is one kind of an example or an application, right? There can be several use cases here. If you start talking about and brainstorming those ideas, you can really jot down a lot. um, this particular technology, right, is they need a lot of protocols and training for the people involved in this, right, both internal and external. There is also regulatory compliance that we need to take care of, right? So there are several aspects around to this, but this is what we are looking at: an autonomous bank with Gen AI and artificial intelligence involved, integrated in it. Okay. And then I thought, some data on how much artificial intelligence or machine learning and the latest technologies are being adopted by various financial institutions, right? So this is a survey done by Norton Rose Fulbright, a very well-known law firm based out of UK, right? So when they surveyed some of the large scale banks and financial institutions, they got back results in such a way, right? So if you imagine a bank or a financial institution, there are several lines of businesses, right? So you have deposits, you have loan products, you have credit cards, you have unsecured and secured lending. There are commercial banking, right, wealth management, so on and so forth. um, and within those lines of businesses, you will have pretty much all of these various operations and business processes involved, right? As you can see, right, the adaptation is is at a higher level in the document generation, right? Because we all know the Gen AI capabilities, right? The tasks of creating documents and all of that, right? So the the specific use case of Gen AI, right? It started with that, and then slowly the other business processes are catching up. So this is a good example of how future looks like within the various lines of businesses and business operations within banking and financial institutions. And this particular stat, right, as of 2024, almost 3/4 of organizations, at least in the surveyed customers, almost 3/4 of them are either planning to or implement the latest AI technologies within their lines of businesses. So this is great. Okay, so the next slide, I want to bring it up because there is a segregation or a delineation between artificial intelligence and Gen AI technologies. Okay, so this is like asking a human being, right? What is a human being, right? So if you go to Chat GPT, right, the very famous tool that pretty much we all know in the last 1.5 year, 2 years, right, ever since it came into full-blown public implementation, right? If you ask, right, it will give you the definition or an explanation of what artificial intelligence is. So I'm not going to read this, but I thought this is a fundamental that we all got to know, that it is artificial. Okay, it is not human. It doesn't have the discretion that we all have. It doesn't have any sensitivity to any of our human beings, right? It is based on underlying data. It gets better over time as it understands and gets more data. But if the models that these institutions and these financial institutions and banks utilize in creating these models, right, if it is not clean or if it is not up to the mark, right, then the corresponding output what they generate may not be optimal for various use cases that we have. Okay. Uh, as I said, right, talking about artificial intelligence, fintech, and all of these, right, these are so huge. Um, I'm no expert again, right? I cannot claim myself as an expert in this area, right? I'm a practitioner. I learn every day. And so if you look at artificial intelligence, right, don't think that, ChatGPT or Gemini or, Anthropic or Claude, right? They are the implementation of a AI capability, right? And so if you open the hood of an artificial intelligence system, right, you will see several components like this, right? You will see a component of machine learning, right, where a series of algorithms and programs, right, they start learning based on the data they were provided, right? And as you feed in more data, the machine, right, the algorithms get better, and then, right, they will be able to learn and predict or do the application and do the operation in a better way. But initially they will be rough on the edges. And then there is something called deep learning, right? So this you can simulate it to like your brain, right? As a human being evolves from childhood to adulthood, right, the AI models, right, they have neural networks. So they can analyze and um, deliver results um, in more better and precise way as they learn more, right? And then there is the natural language processing. We all, right, we all experience and encounter this in our pretty much day-to-day lives, right? Like our Googles and Amazons and Apples, right? They have integrated this natural language processing in their chatbots, right, and all of that, right? So this is where the artificial intelligence implementation, right, it can understand human language. And if you can say the same question in multiple different ways, it will understand and give you back the answers, right? And then there is the computer vision, right, which can look at pictures and videos, and then it can produce results, right? It can create text or something else, right, based on the use case. This is the implementation of AI for computer vision. And then the fuzzy logic, right? As human beings, um, we can make a decision, right, based on our human brain power, the logical thinking, and so on and so forth, right? But computers, for them it's all binary, either it's 0 or 1, right? It's yes or no. So how does an artificial intelligence device can predict an outcome of a situation, right? So the fuzzy logic, um, the logic behind this, right, the algorithms that were created behind fuzzy logic, they can predict, right, based on the probability of a particular situation. They can predict the outcome of a situation and then provide the results. And then the robotics, we all know, right, the Roombas, self-driving cars and all of that, to reduce manual work and also complex manual work, right? So robotics is one implication within the artificial intelligence right, space, which will help in its implementation. And then, right, now that we have seen, right, in my previous slide, the various components, right, what constitute artificial intelligence, these are some of the implementations, or some of the products, if you will, for AI, like your chat gpts, the smart home products, right? So if you see, right, some of these products have been in existence for a while, even before chat gpt, right, even before the geminis and all of that. So these evolved over time. So like your spam filtering, right, your at home you may have alexas, and then on your phone you have siri and all of that. So they have been evolving over time, right? So in addition to that, if you go to an airport, right, there will be cameras looking at you, which will profile picture, based on the pictures, right? That's another implementation of artificial intelligence. And then, right, there are several use cases in here. Okay. This particular slide, I'm not going to talk about all these numbers, but this is artificial intelligence in general. Okay, it's not related to fintech or any particular industry, but these numbers are staggering, right? Um, as of 2022, the size of artificial intelligence is about 137 billion, and within about a decade or less than a decade, it's gonna grow exponentially. Okay, and then this particular stats really are mind-boggling, right? There is a saying that artificial intelligence can replace jobs, right? But the artificial intelligence can replace jobs. That's true, but also, right, there's definitely, right, human beings are definitely needed. So for this, right, when I was talking to my thought leaders and others in the space, they gave a good synonym, or a good example for artificial intelligence. You can consider this like a calculator, right? We all know calculator for day-to-day math and all, right? We still know our math, right? We can do all the math, right? If you don't have a calculator, you can still do, right, an addition, subtraction, and so on and so forth, right? So calculator came in, it helped us, right? It made us better, right, in doing faster and more accurate and precise calculations. So we should consider artificial intelligence in a similar way. So it will definitely help us get better. It will reduce manual errors. It will improve our quality of life. And definitely it will supplement and complement us in our day-to-day life. Okay. And then, right, this is right, we are almost there, right? 97% of mobile users, we have some kind of AI-powered voice assistants. So, okay. So we talked about artificial intelligence and so many other applications, and right now coming back to our topic, right, which is fintech, right? How is artificial intelligence being used in fintech? So as I said, right, within a banking and a financial institution, um, you have lending, right? So lending is a science in itself, right? it is a it's a big line of business within a bank. That is secured, unsecured, again, right? Business lending and so on and so forth. So we could use artificial intelligence in there, and then within a bank or a financial institution, fraud is prevalent, and we want to reduce fraud in as much as we can, right? So another application is within fraud, and obviously investing and customer service, right? So portfolio recommendations. um, Gone were the days when people used to work with a financial advisor, create the portfolio, and then set and done, right? You cannot do that anymore. You got to rebalance based on your changing priorities, changing market situations, macroeconomic conditions, and so on and so forth. So for all that, a human being can only do so much. But if you implement and integrate artificial intelligence, right, the investing and automatic rebalancing will be at a different scale. And then customer service. This is another big implication, and one of the flagship projects I worked on. We implemented chatbot with all the underlying documentation related to our business processes and all of that, right? Which helped answer a lot of questions that customers has, and if those were not satisfactory, and if the customers still need to talk to a human being, right, that is when we can involve an actual live customer service agent or a person, right? So it's a great example of AI integration in fintech. Now, we talked about all the happy path scenarios, right? How artificial intelligence can do a lot of magic. Now, what are the various challenges and considerations? So, again, right, these are not the exhaustive list, right? These are some of the challenges and some of the considerations one should think about in the fintech space when you talk about implementing, the newer innovative technologies, right? How do you preserve and protect customer data? Because fintech is heavily regulated, right? We got to be compliant with local, federal, and international regulatory bodies and their laws. So you got to be compliant with the appropriate with all the relevant regulatory guidelines. And cybersecurity, right? Um, you cannot be lax enough, right? You have to make sure whatever system you're implementing, it is secure enough that no one can break in, and the burden of any breaches, right, is huge, right? And then in addition to these challenges, one a bank or a financial institution also should consider their some of these, right? How will you be transparent on the various solutions that you deploy, and how do you maintain accountability and fairness? Okay. Okay. So far I've just talked about how AI can be implemented and what are the other things, right? So these are some of the case studies, or some of the success stories, if you will, within fintech, right? Cryptocurrency is one of the technologies you must have, right? You all have encountered, or maybe you are already invested in that. So Coinbase is one of the companies, or one of the fintech participants which have used deployed AI powered systems, right, for their trading, for their security, as well as personalized learning modules, right? So Coinbase, I follow them in several ways, and I really see that they have put together a good model, right, for their peers and competitors to follow, because AI, right? It's everywhere. It's omnipresent. But if you use it properly, you can definitely you can definitely be a disruptor within your own space, and also be the pioneer, right? So that you can increase your business. Same goes with Revolut. This is another company which have revolutionized the financial services space. Um, their motto, and if you look at their website and all, they talk about how their AI powered platform can provide pricing personalized for the customers. And it is also, right, it helped them streamline and optimize their operations. So so it's not only beneficial for the end users, right, the customers, but also for their internal operations, right? They use, or they promptly use AI driven features, which makes them agile and nimble in their operations. And then BBVA, I think this is based out of Europe. So they have a mobile app called Bekonami. So I think I was alluding to this before. So this particular app, it's driven out of artificial intelligence, right? It analyzes customers' needs, and especially in such situations like an overdraft, this technology can proactively take actions on behalf of the client, and then uh, reduce the risk of overdraft, and then there are several other use cases. But this will definitely improve the quality of customer finances, right? Avoid fees and frustration from the customers, as well as give them a better quality of service. All right, so now that we have talked about all of these various um, possibilities of implementing artificial intelligence, so what are our future trends, right, and the outlook um, within the combination of the latest technologies and artificial intelligence, big data, robotics, etc., right, and then the fintech space? um, I would say, right, the decentralized finance, that's definitely evolving. That's another disruptor within the banking and financial services. So DeFi is where the whole platform, right? It is based on public blockchains, primarily the Ethereum blockchain. So this is where customers can do their banking transactions outside of the intermediaries or the big banks, right? So it's all peer-to-peer lending, peer-to-peer transactions, and so on and so forth. So this particular decentralized finance will reduce the burden, or will reduce the congestion, and then improve the quality of service for customers, right, within the financial space. Next up is the quantum computing, right? Especially in form of high volume trading, risk management spaces, right? You need to have quantum computers where you can do millions and millions of transactions in very short span of time, right? So if you got to scale up to that level, you need to have, obviously, right, the computing power, the latest technologies in place, so that you can live up to that, the next technologies. While, right, the next up is RegTech, right? So this is another um, disruptor in the space, right? You need to have technologies that supplement and support the regulatory needs, right? The ever evolving regulatory needs. um, as we evolve in the technology, the regulatory landscape also changes. And if you got to be proactive, if you got to be stay in line with the regulators regulations, you need to have enough technology support and tech stack which will be adaptable to that space. And then there is this concept called explainable AI, right? So, right, if you have seen the various components of artificial intelligence, there are so many things, right? Machine learning, the natural language processing, the fuzzy logic, and so on and so forth. These are not, right, these are all lines and lines of code. And then uh, it will take decisioning and then give you certain output. But if it is not readable by analysts, right, or the management, the middle management, the upper management, right, it can lead to confusion, it can lead to bias, right? And also, if regulators are looking at the various implications, it may be hard to um, justify the actions. So explainable AI is where, right, for every action that is taken, right, it will have a corresponding um, explanation on why a decision has been taken. Like, for example, um, a particular bank, if they have implemented artificial intelligence technologies to approve a loan, right, um, the decision, right, can be an accept or a reject, right? If it is a reject, right, oftentimes customers can be, in the behind, right, and they may be wondering why they have been rejected for a loan. But if the artificial intelligence model that the bank or financial institution have deployed, if it can provide an explanation along with the decision, right, that is when um, it will it will definitely help in solving some of the customer service queries, right? Because behind the scenes, the artificial intelligence may have taken, the income or the credit score or comparable credit models, right, for that particular customer, right? There may be a number of reasons, right, for a decision that would have happened, because as we all know, artificial intelligence and all of these technologies rely on underlying data, right? So if the decisioning has a corresponding reason code or reasoning that is transparent, right, that will definitely help. Next up is fraud detection, right? Fraud detection, anomalies, and all of that, right? So for a human being, it may not be possible um, to take care of all the analysis of fraud, but explainable AI, right, can provide a reason, right, why a particular transaction has been flagged as fraud, so that a credit analyst or a fraud analyst, right, who is checking at these transactions after AI's output, right, they can analyze and understand better and more efficiently on why the decision has been taken. Okay, so we talked about various artificial intelligence and fintech and all of that so far. Now switching gears into the industry 5.0, right? Um, so this is a newer or an emerging topic within industrial revolutions, phases, right? We all know industry revolution started long ago, right? Um, where the um, 18th, about 18th to 19th century, so on. That's when the first industrial revolution happened, where we had the steam engine, right? Until then, humans and animals were taking care of the locomotion and the industrial production and all. So when the steam engine, right, the technology came in, it helped industrialization and locomotion and all, right? And then the second industrial revolution, where electricity, um, and then internal combustion engine, right, conveyor belts, all of that have laid roads for the second industrial revolution, which made mass production and all of that. And then third industrial revolution, that's when the computers, right, the electronics came into the picture. And then the fourth industrial revolution, which is the current world, right, we live in, where we have internet of things, right, the internet revolution, smart big data analytics, robotics, and so on and so forth. Now we are talking about the fifth industrial revolution, right? That is where we want to bring ourselves back to the ground right, rather than utilizing and leaning more on the machines, right? So we want to blend our Industry 5.0, the fifth industrial revolution blends artificial intelligence with human beings, right? So that it doesn't look very synthetic, right? Say, the various use cases that we have talked and discussed so far, if we are primarily relying on machines and the computers to deliver financial services, it may not have that personal touch, right? Like, for example, if you talk to a financial advisor for investment recommendations, right? He will base that based on his prior experiences, whereas artificial intelligence will take into consideration, right, all the prior historical data, the current market situations, and then, right, so if you can blend both of them together, that will give and that will enhance the personalization of financial services. In addition to that, the um, collaboration, right, of humans along with the artificial intelligence technologies will definitely be more efficient, right? So these are some of the examples, right, how fifth industrial revolution in fintech, right, will be more efficient, right? You can improve decision making, right? So for example, if artificial intelligence technology implementation, right, gives you a decision X, right, and then if a human being can analyze that, and if they think that the machine's decision or machine's output is good, right, so that will eliminate a lot of manual work, right? It can reduce time, and it can be more efficient, right? In addition to that, the human AI collaboration will also enhance ethical standards, right, and promote responsible practices, right, followed by creativity and efficiency, right, which we all talked about already, right? Efficiency, because artificial intelligence is all about automation, augmentation, right? It augments humans, and then all around support. And finally, um, artificial intelligence will provide real-time adaptability to market conditions, and human collaborations, right, will help us in providing better and more efficient fintech projects. So I the fifth industrial revolution, right, the Industry 5.0 is an emerging field. So it's my current area where I'm doing a lot of research and collaborating with thought leaders and attending all those research conferences, right? So this is still an evolving area. So um, in conclusion, I would say that artificial intelligence is a transformative power, right? This is a newer technology, and it can play a vital role in our financial future. But again, we got to be very cognizant and be aware that these technologies are at our disposition to use them wisely, and they will have its own challenges and ethical considerations, right? So we got to keep that in mind before implementing all of these latest technologies. Okay. And then we, as human beings, we should collaborate with artificial intelligence, right, so that we can deploy responsible and tech enabled fintech products, right, where they are more to our benefit, right, and which will also make sure that financial inclusion is taken care of. It is more human centered, because ultimately artificial intelligence is artificial, right? It is not, it's not humans, right? It doesn't have any soul, right? So we got to make sure that it is artificial and we follow our prejudices in that. Okay. So that's that's my that's the end of my presentation.
Great, Hari. Thank you very much. Are there any questions for Hari? And feel free, if you'd prefer, feel free to speak as well as, or we can add them in the chat. There we go.
All right, that was great. I think you touched on a lot of great topics. One that sparked my attention that we're hearing more and more about in the financial industry is just trying to keep up and a step ahead of scams that are taking place. So that was really helpful. I think we have some questions coming in, Michael, if you'd like to address those.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, Gary has a question here. Hi, what do you think about cryptocurrencies with AI? Do you believe ETH is a security or a commodity?
Oh, that's a loaded question. I don't know if Ethereum and all of these cryptocurrencies um, are either a security or a commodity at this point of time, right? They are still a product. They are challenging the status quo of the paper currency or the actual currency in general, right? So until a regulatory body, right, either within the United States or in the global regulatory industry, someone creates stringent protocols around how we utilize these cryptocurrencies, right, for the humans, right, it should be controlled. Otherwise, we see, right, cryptocurrencies being used as ransom, right? If someone hacks into your systems, right, cryptocurrencies are being used for that purpose because it doesn't have a regulatory body behind this. So at least in my experience so far, this is a very gray area within a regulated financial markets and securitized products within the investment industry. So I think it's evolving.
Right. Anyone else have any other questions for Hari?
Hello everyone. Am I audible?
Yep.
We can hear you.
Hey, hi, Hari. It
Hello.
was a great presentation and we learned a lot about it. My question is, we talked about the data privacy and everything. In terms of security, like how is AI being leveraged to safeguard the member data and prevent the fraudulent activities in Sound Credit Union?
Is that a question to me or to
Yeah,
Jennifer?
like I'm curious about it. Anyone can answer.
Can you repeat it one more time? I apologize.
Yeah, sure. How Sound Credit Union service to protect the data of the members and prevent the fraudulent activities?
So the question is, what are we doing to protect our members' data?
Yeah.
So our IT team is working diligently to make sure we're monitoring it. We're partnering with different business partners who are able to assist us with this and make sure that we have the tools in place to keep the security of our members top of mind and its forefront. It's our number one priority. We know it's constantly evolving and we're trying to stay 10 steps ahead of people who are trying to take advantage of it. So we're constantly monitoring it. We're investing more into our infrastructure to ensure that we're able to provide that security to our members who have all of their personal information and their funds and loans with Sound Credit.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. Sergio in the chat has a question here. What do you think are the challenges in developing an intelligent bank?
Oh, yeah, good question. Intelligent bank, right? As I said, I can bring up the slide. But anyway, so intelligent bank, it's a concept, right? It has got the data and the artificial intelligence platform, right, as the core foundation, followed by, you need to have the cybersecurity, you need to have the, training, adequate training for the employees, right, within the bank. It has to be optimal, followed by, the personnel and all of that. And on top of that, you have the foundational model, right, the artificial intelligence model, which becomes the foundation for creating personalized products for the bank. So when you see, right, each one of these can be a challenge, right, because if you don't have data quality, right, and if you don't have adequate controls on the data, um, and then if you don't have robust platform for maintaining your data, right, if you don't have training, if you don't have the um, protocols to control the artificial intelligence technologies, right, the cybersecurity measures, each one of these is a challenge. So until and unless we are mature enough in each of these areas, an intelligent or autonomous bank, right, is a uphill task. Some of the bigger banks have some of these covered already, so for them it's a sprint, right? For some it's a marathon.
Great. Okay, maybe we have time here for one more. I guess I'll just go in order here. Are there any the question is, could you tell us a disadvantage of fintech?
Okay, yeah. So we talk about all the happy path scenarios of fintech, right? Where you have all these, bells and whistles and all the fancy features that a customer can use, right? The disadvantages are at least, that come to my mind when I think about fintech in general are, these we are, more and more getting reliant on the codes, the algorithms, and the applications, right, behind the scenes in managing our finances. Let's take, for example, um, a lending or a credit product decision by a financial institution, right? Traditionally, the credit eligibility was based on your credit scores and all of that, right? And future looks like, they are going to look at so many other parameters. So whether we agree or we disagree with that, right, the financial institutions will follow the decisioning that has come out of these models, right, because they have invested so much into these platforms. And so the decisioning will, if there are no humans, right, which are actively analyzing the decision and the output of these fintech products, right, then we may lose control on the final aspects and the customer service, right? So that's one disadvantage. And the second one is the fairness, right, and the bias, right? Sometimes the artificial intelligence can create decisioning based on the underlying data, and it may not be fair, right, for a certain subset of customers, right, who may need special consideration, right? Those special considerations are only human driven. So fairness and then, transparency, right, are some of the challenges, at the same time disadvantages for fintech.
I agree 100%. Obviously, somebody in the financial industry as well, you take away that person who can advocate for the people who are looking to get a loan. For example, say you're a business and you have somebody who may on the business account who may have bad credit, but then there's other people on the account who have really strong credit. The system sees that negative credit and holds it against that business. The fintech doesn't have the tools to be an advocate for the consumers, right? And that's where humans have that opportunity to understand or listen to somebody's story and then go and advocate for those consumers that they're working with. At Sound, we really believe in empowering our employees to hearing that story, building that relationship, being more than the technology, but providing that personal service to really build relationships and connect people with the tools and resources to help them manage their finances.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Again, Hari, and I will put our website here in the chat. There's more information about Hari on our website, in addition to about the competition. And you can also connect with Hari, if I'm not too forward in saying this, via LinkedIn. Perfect. Through the link that we
Please
also
do.
have on the website.
Happy to connect. Yep.
Wonderful. And let's make sure everybody's aware that the second presentation in our speaker series is starting next Tuesday, April 9th at 12:30, where we'll have Dr. Phil Fawcett, our Innovation Partnership Manager from the University of Washington, Tacoma, speaking about how to create and deliver your FinTech pitch. So you can register online and learn more about that information also on the link in the chat that Michael included. That will be on Zoom as well as in person. And if you do come to Tacoma, University of Washington, Tacoma in person, please indicate that you'll be there because lunch is provided. We want to make sure we feed those who are there at lunch.
Absolutely.
Anything else you have to add today, Michael?
That is it. Just thank you again, everyone. And Hari, again, thank you very much for this wonderful presentation.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Thanks, Hari. It was wonderful.
All right. Take care, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.